Welcome to Dr. P.C. Verma Economist YouTube class. In this class, we are reconnecting our discussion related to 1991 industrial policy, and we are today discussing 34th feature of 1991 industrial policy. Under 34th feature, P.V. Narasimha Rao, Prime Minister of India, as well as Industry Minister in 1991, described that the government will strengthen those public enterprises which fall in the reserve area of operation or are in a high priority area or are generating a good or reasonable profit. Such enterprises will be provided a much greater degree of management autonomy through MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. Competition will also be induced in the area by inviting private sector participation and disinvestment in PSU and PSE. In 34th feature of 34th feature of 39 point of new industrial policy, P.V. Narasimha Rao indicated that those old public sector enterprises or public sector units which are operating under loss, they may not be continued further because it is drain to the exchequer, drain to the public spending. Therefore, government will strengthen those public enterprises which fall in the reserve area of operation or are in high priority area or are generating good or reasonable profit. Such enterprises will be provided a much greater degree of management autonomy through MOU. This means that Memorandum of Understanding provision will be provided to those public enterprises which are doing well and their profit is reasonably good or it is acceptable. So, Government of India in 1991 described that all public enterprises are not considered to be at equal footing. Those public enterprises which are earning reasonable profit, they will be given more freedom, more autonomy, and therefore Memorandum of Understanding MOU facility will be provided to them. Competition will also be induced in this area by inviting private sector. Here it was decided that even those areas where public sector enterprises are earning reasonable profit, even then government will invite private sector in this area of profit, and this will lead to more competition among public sector and private sector, resulting for the betterment of the economy of India. And for that he clearly indicated that there will be participation of private sector into the public sector areas, and at the same time there will be disinvestment in public sector enterprises or public sector enterprises and public sector units. By selling equity, share capital, India is proud of PSU which works in public interest. Next is MRTP Act. This is the final section under 39 points of new industrial policy. In the MRTP Act, what we find out that Monopolistic Restrictive Trade Practices Act. This act became effective in June 1970. Major amendments were carried out in 1982 and 1984 in order to remove impediments to industrial growth and expansion. This carried out so 35th point of 39 points of features of 1991 industrial policy, it is pointed out that Monopolistic Restrictive Trade Practices Act will be passed, and that was passed in June 1970. Major amendments were carried out in the regime of Rajiv Gandhi, Prime Minister, who has done tremendous work of partial liberalization, and therefore he passed 1984, 1982, and 1984. These policies were passed during the period of Srimati Indira Gandhi, and thereafter the Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi had also developed it by passing 1985 and 1986 acts to clear so many problems, remove impediments to the industrial growth and expansion. Therefore, in 1991 Industrial Policy, MRTP Act was given important role in the field of industrial development. Coming to the 36th point of 1991 industrial policy out of 39 points, 36 point says that the principal objective of MRTP are as follows: preventing concentration of economic power to the common detriment, control of monopoly, and prohibition of monopolistic and restrictive trade practices. This MRTP Act was followed in India, and in 1985 there is some sort of liberalization. In 1985, the process of change was given a new momentum by an increase of threshold limit of assets. Number 37, it was found that MRTP Act interference in investments of large companies has become deleterious in its effect on Indian industrial growth. The pre-entry scrutiny of investment decision by so-called MRTP companies will no longer required. This is another step of liberalization by Rajiv Gandhi after 1984. Srimati Indira Gandhi, Prime Minister, was assassinated, and thereafter Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi tried to liberalize and tried to find out the demerits of MRTP companies. Thirty 38 point of 39 points of new industrial policy 1991 reveals the fact that the MRTP Act will be restructured by eliminating the legal requirement for prior governmental approval of expansion of present undertaking and establishment of new undertaking. The provisions relating to the merger, amalgamation, and takeover will also be repealed. Similarly, the provisions regarding restrictions on acquisition of and transfer of shares will be appropriately incorporated in Companies Act. MRTP Commission will take appropriate action in respect to MRTP provisions, practices in the economy, in the changing atmosphere of liberalization, and MRTP will not harm now old industries or even new industries. And the final point, 39th point of new industrial policy is the conclusion that every section which we have discussed, that will be converted into act, and act will be followed by the people in the country, whole country. So 39 point shows that all acts and their provisions of all 38 features are presented in the 39th last point of 1991 industrial policy. And so this is the end of the industrial policy, having 39 points, and it worked from 1991 up till 2020. There is minor changes relating to its implementation, but major body is as the same. Even the government has changed. Under present government, there is provision of draft industrial policy of 2018, but that is not passed, that is under consideration. And in that policy, it is a provision that most of the industries must follow the artificial intelligence, things of internet, clouds, and all new technology which make India capable of reaching 5 trillion economy and facing the present problem. And therefore, the policy of 1991 is the basic infrastructural, structural change in the economy, and that requires further strengthening in the coming years, sharpening it and making more elastic, so that the 5 trillion industrial growth, 5 trillion economy of India can come out very easily. Although there are many new things which emerged such as coronavirus and its effect upon our economy, but our economy is basically agricultural economy, and therefore its effect will be marginally less than the other countries. Our industries, large number of industries are concentrated in few states. Most of the states have agricultural growth, and therefore under these considerations we expect that we will recover very fastly by this process of change in our industrial structure, industrial policy, and the viewpoint relating to the coming new economy of India. That's all. Thank you very much for listening. Subscribe it, like it, and God bless you. Success in your examination. Thank you from Dr. P.C. Verma, economist, to all viewers. Okay.